But anyway, let's see why MMORPGs are stagnant and dying.
The year is 2005. It's Friday night, you've just finished your shift, and you open up your flip phone to a text from your guildmate. Wanna tank Strath? Little did you know, this was the best that life was ever going to get. The MMORPG was once a genre that was thriving. To enter an always persistent online virtual world filled with millions of other like-minded adventurers was a concept as mind-blowing as it was exciting, and today people are left with fond memories that are built.
Man, those days were beautiful. Those days were gorgeous. Those days were wonderful because as a kid you have no idea what being an adult is. You don't know what taxes are. You don't know any of that shit. It's just you're talking to your friend. Hey, well, we're going to Maraudon this afternoon. You in? Yeah, I'm in. Okay, awesome. I'll see you online. Those were the good days. Those were the golden age. That was the golden age of MMORPGs. Had to be a wage at the time, so I really got to play. I got lucky with a job when I was I'd say about 16. I ended up working for like a really fancy restaurant that taught me a lot about being like a proper waiter and stuff. And the pay was decent. And they understood that I was like a school kid. So they didn't mind. Like, they were like, look, we know you have school. We know you're going to be working on like holidays and stuff like that. But they were actually really chill about it. And so like I could afford the WoW thing after my mom told me that I was addicted to the game, and then for a while she like refused to pay for the game anymore for me. And I was addicted to the game. That's why I went and got a fucking job. She couldn't stop me. She tried to take away the drugs, so I found another way to get them.
Built to last a lifetime. However, as time has passed, it's become more and more apparent that their unique appeal has dwindled, and many lament that the magic that had once captivated them has faded, but they never seem to extrapolate why. Well, probably because they're just looking to vent, and they don't want to fully commit, lest they come off as a no-life nerd. But luckily for you, that is something I have no problem with. So, what exactly...
I just gotta say this. Mad Season is an OG. Mad Season's been playing this game forever, and he's been there the whole time. I've been in and out of WoW after Wrath of the Lich King. A lot of the time for me, killing Arthas was like the pinnacle of WoW, and I feel like for me personally, the story was over once that happened. Although I did dip in and out of it, I really enjoyed Legion. I didn't play the Kung Fu Panda expansion. I think peak WoW for me was definitely Wrath of the Lich King. It's when me and all my friends were there. And even better, I played a healer, right? I played a healer shaman. I still remember running... fuck. I don't even remember the... I don't remember the raid's name, but I do remember running... with my friend Ryan, we ran a raid, the one that gifts you the Ironbound Proto-Drake if you get certain achievements in it. Ulduar, I think it was. The one with all the robots and shit. Where in the very beginning you get in the tanks and stuff. It was amazing. That was peak WoW for me, was playing it with my friends then. That was actually peak WoW. It was amazing. I miss that so much.
Is the magic. Well, in the context of the MMORPG, it's a combination of things. It's what you felt the first time that she stepped into this unknown world, and that's the word of the day here. The systems are unknown, the characters, the quests, abilities, spells. The magic is the feeling of wonder and mystery that you get from a world of discovery filled with other people to discover with.
Ah, fucking beautiful. That was, you know what? That was one of the fun memories I do have of New World, is seeing everyone's fucking camps out right outside of town, because everyone's rushing to finish that campsite, because it's part of the tutorial.
You see, MMOs are a lot like fluid exchange.
Oh, nice.
Everyone remembers their first time.
Oh, yeah.
Level 1, you don't really know what you're doing, and you're also paying for it. Is that
what? No, nope, nope. Maybe someone else is paying for it, but fair enough. If you're paying for it, you would hope you're with someone who's not level 1, though. Yeah, you'd hope that they know at least what they're doing, so they can guide you through it. You know, they can speed run you. They can level boost you through the experience.
Moment in the Ocarina of Time when you first enter Hyrule Field, or Final Fantasy VII, you exit Midgar, or you leave your house to refill on Hot Pockets. It's the adventure and even the intimidation that comes from the unknown. And as soon as you lose that, you lose the magic, because the unknown disguises the treadmill.
Yep.
And to understand this, we must first examine how games function on a fundamental level.
Yeah, when a world is new, this is when MMORPGs, every single MMORPG has been in its absolute peak best state, is when it has just released. There are no guides, no one knows what the fuck is going on, it's all new, it's all wonderful, and it's like no one is aware of how this game functions, right? New World launched completely solved. Absolutely, 100% agree, and I think that was actually part of the problem, right? Because everyone had played the betas and the alpha and all of that, by the time we got to the game, there was nothing new. It had all been data mined, it had all been figured out, it had all been solved, and that made it a worse experience, because there was nothing to discover. It was like, well, I know I got to do this because there's about 25 YouTube videos telling me about this. I've seen it on YouTube. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen the pictures online. They've told me about it. They've explained it to me on their website. All of that shit is right there. It's not a world of discovery. It's a world of, I know what I got to do, so I'm going to get to doing it.
So, why do games exist? They don't serve any purpose that's critical to our survival. They were created as mediums from which to draw entertainment. Every game ever made is constructed to reward you for outperforming or outwitting an opponent, whether they be a robot or a person. In chess, the problem is capturing the enemy king without losing yours, and the solution is to outwit your opponent by busting out that queen on turn 2, yo. In XCOM, you have to make a 99% shot to kill an alien, and then you break your keyboard over your knee.
XCOM hit statistics are bullshit. These things are fucking bullshit. You've had like 99% hit chances and you'll miss completely for no reason at all. And then you'll have like a 2% hit chance and it'll work. The only way to play XCOM consistently is to use grenades whenever possible for AoE damage.
When you of course miss.
I quit. I quit! I quit!
And in life, the problem is to not starve to death, and the solution is to work, making a large amount of money for someone else, and a fraction for yourself, until you die.
Yeah.
And as for...
Yeah, pretty much. Turns out that life is just like an MMORPG, but all the systems suck, and there's no magic powers.
For the MMORPG, much like life itself, you are handed many problems. If you are level 1, you must reach level 2 by killing enemies and completing quests. If you don't have enough money to buy things, you must extract it from the world by killing enemies and completing quests. Or by completely skipping the entire point of the game to begin with by purchasing currency. To advance to the next PvP rank, you must kill other players in-game. To unlock this vendor, you must farm reputation. And to upgrade your questing gear, you must clear dungeons. And to upgrade your dungeon gear, you must find 20 other people with nothing better to do and sit down with them for 4 hours a day so you can raid. The MMO is a special case though, because there's some complexities and variables at play. First is their multiplayer, meaning that user experience is wildly variable. Two people who pick the same race and the same class will have two extremely different experiences. And as for number two...
Yeah, but that's... So they'll have different experiences based on their IQ. I mean, all my friends will tell you this. Anyone I know who's played WoW will tell you this. Some people are just not... They don't have a functioning brain in there. They're not able to play the game at any kind of functional level because they have no fucking idea what's going on. We don't know how they got to 60. We don't know how they got, you know, to a certain dungeon in green gear, and they haven't done any other dungeon, but somehow they're in a raid, and they don't know what their abilities do. I don't know if it's like, I just got unlucky and... I don't know, someone was like, hey, I've got a kid, I'll let my kid play on my WoW account for the night, or something like that. But you can ask any of my friends, and every now and then you get a dipshit who has no idea what he's doing. And then he'll be like, yo, this game sucks. And it's like, no, the game's pretty good, you just have no idea what you're doing. It's like, any game is gonna suck if you don't understand what the fuck is going on.
They are, of course, long form. This isn't a Zelda game where you just pick up the controller and you have a relatively predetermined amount of time before you hit the credits screen. Content, character progression, and ways to pay real money for character progression is constantly added in order to extend or even erase the finish line entirely. And not only that, but even the direction and quality of the content changes as the people developing them and those playing them change. But even though they are perhaps the most complex genre of game, they can all be broken down into the following. Whether it be PvP, raiding, currency accumulation, collections, or even things such as social status, the goal is to...
You know, the most underrated one of all of those ones that he actually mentioned there is actually currency accumulation. This is something that was figured out, I think, by a few people very early on in World of Warcraft and obviously Ultima Online and all of that. But the large majority of people very heavily neglect how powerful currency accumulation is for everything else you need to do in a game. Everything else you need to do in a game, just like real life. And people are like, I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to go do this. And this other guy's like, well, I'm going to hop on my paladin and farm Scarlet Monastery for the next 4 hours, and I'm going to have enough gold to build a pile high enough that I can punch God in the face. So go have fun. I'll see you soon. I'll have everything in the game. But seriously, currency accumulation in most MMOs is OP as fuck.
To extract advancement from an online world, where each day, no matter how minuscule it may be, the player is able to progress in some way. And the method for delivering this progression is known as the carrot and treadmill system, where the rewards are represented by the carrot and the method of obtaining them by the treadmill. And it's the very tough job of the developer to create both the rewards and also the obstacles that the players must traverse through or around to obtain them. And while a skilled developer will be able to create a treadmill that's fun and rewarding, an exceptional one will be able to disguise it such that the player is completely unaware of what lies beneath their own feet.
You know where he gets that analogy from? The carrot on a stick analogy is that was literally a trinket in WoW. There was a carrot on a stick item in WoW that made your mount move a little bit faster. That's where he got that analogy from. I know the whole carrot on a stick thing is like way older than that, but I know that specifically a Mad Season, I know that's where he's pulling that one from.
Or alternatively, you can just sell the player the carrot.
Yeah.
So,
there we
for
go.
Everyone's first MMO, not only are they unfamiliar with this design, they aren't even aware of its existence. They barely even know how to play, let alone the mechanisms running behind the scenes that drives them to play. It's the goal and desire of the developer to manipulate their game such that when the players look at it, they don't see a treadmill. They see a fun and exciting adventure, because that is the feeling of wonder and mystery that everyone remembers from their first MMO, and that is what is associated with what is colloquially known as the magic, where new things are learned.
Yeah, let me simplify it for you. I can simplify. So he went through a whole explanation of it, right? But here's the simplified version of everything he just said. The real world fucking sucks sometimes. And you never feel like you're getting anywhere, right? You go to the gym 6 times a week. After that first week of going to the gym, you probably look in the mirror and you don't see any progress, right? You need to go to the gym for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, and then you'll start seeing some progress. You'll see some things happening to you. You log into an MMO, you play for 4 hours, and you see progress. You see things happening. You see changes occurring before your very eyes. And that feels good. That activates all the little dopamine receptors in your head, and it feels amazing. Right? So, you get to escape into a fantasy world that you get to see almost instantaneous progression in, versus the real world where you've got to put in a lot of effort and energy all the time, and you will only generally see the reward way later down the line.
And skills are honed with each passing day. That is how most every MMO is designed. It's likely that's how they'll always be designed, at least in some way, but it holds one fatal flaw. When the appeal is derived from the unknown, it means that it's also fleeting. In fact, it degrades at a rate inversely proportional to how effective it is. The more fun you have, the more you play, and the more you research how to play or what you're going to be playing before it even releases on websites such as YouTube or Twitch, for instance. And so the player base is continuously drawing from this amalgamative pool of the unknown. It is a resource that is expended faster than it could possibly ever be replenished, because it functions similarly to everyone's favorite thing after MMOs. Drugs.
This.
God damn, I feel like a fortune teller. I was talking about how WoW is a drug and how MMOs feel like drugs, and here we go. He's right on target.
It's World of Warcraft.
This is what happens to your brain.
After playing World of Warcraft.
I love those ads.
Family goes through. Your friends and
Any questions?
How much do you think that woman got paid for that drug ad? Because, hell, I'd do it for free. Imagine just going into a house and just beating the shit out of everything with a pan. How much do you suppose she got paid for that? Because that just sounds like a fun time. Hey, here's a pan in an empty house. Go to town.
World of Warcraft. Try it for free at warcraft.com.
Yeah, it's that good shit.
Hey, look, it's Asmongold.
A good old dopamine orgy. But, like with any drug, you build up a resistance to it, and to obtain the same high, you must incrementally increase consumption. Over time, achieving the same level of satisfaction requires a greater and greater level of commitment.
Get the mascot involved, that's right. The guy in the bear outfit. I'm so desensitized. It's gotta be just completely bananas to get me all.
And developers have it tough, to say the least. Capturing the magic.
You know, I feel real bad for a lot of devs, because a lot of devs catch a lot of shit that is actually meant for someone in management, but everyone blames the devs because the devs are the creators. They're the people who've like designed and built something, and a lot of the times like a dev doesn't agree with the thing he has to design and build that's been defined by a management team. He's just got to fucking put it in the game because he doesn't want to lose his job. And that's so, like, you can see this transition happen with Blizzard, Activision Blizzard over time, really. Is they started off as a bunch of people developing video games and selling the video games and managing the video games and all of this shit. And slowly, as those people started getting replaced and the management got separated from the game development and the creativity went to like a little subsection department where they don't make the big overarching decisions, that's when we get things like the WoW token. And that's when everyone starts saying these fucking WoW devs and their goddamn token. But what you should be saying is these fucking managers and their piece of shit monetary strategy, because they love ruining your game for more profit incentive.
In the late 90s and early 2000s was a far simpler feat for a variety of reasons. Today, when you say MMORPG, anyone even remotely familiar with games knows exactly what they are. You can safely shut down your MySpace, because this isn't 2004 anymore. The genre has sort of been done, even more so than your mom.
Oh, I know that
And
chart.
It hasn't just been done, much like your mom, it's been redone, and watered down, and
God damn.
re-watered down 1,000 times over, and the player now knows more, both as a whole and as an individual. And just as how this has progressed slowly over time internally by experiencing them, so too has it externally, as the world around them has also, of course.
That's kind of true. It's like this is all the way back to like losing the magic of discovery. It's like here's something back in the day that I discovered in WoW all by myself when I was a kid. There is a gnome in the Ungoro crater who's wearing a green hoodie with a sword and a shield, and his name is Lincoln, right? And I very quickly put together that this was supposed to be like a Legend of Zelda reference. And I'm remembering this because about 2 days ago I was on YouTube and it was like, top 5 secrets in classic WoW. Top 5 Easter eggs and all of that shit. And it like ruins the magic of it because it's like, oh, okay, cool. Now that I know that that's in the game, I've no want to go and figure that out. Because I know what it is, I know where it is. I'm not going to apply any brain power. Cool, thanks for letting me know.
Evolved. Yeah, you know that other MMO known as Life, where you get one
Ugh.
character. PvP is always
Disgusting. Yeah, you know what sucks about Life as well? He's probably going to say it. You don't even get a fucking character creator.
enabled.
Fucking
You
love
die
that video.
once, that's it. And you have to keep doing this preventative maintenance on your food and drink bars. It's a little too hardcore for me. But as far as knowledge is concerned, social media in the late 90s and early 2000s was
What the fuck is this?
different.
What the fuck is this shit? God damn, fuck. Every time I watch a TikTok video and I see this, like, I feel like I'm having, like, an aneurysm. I don't feel like I'm in reality anymore. I feel like I'm hop dimensions. Or, like, I died somewhere around 2005 when I was in school. Like, I got hit by a car on the way home or something. And I just got transported to an alternate reality where this is just a hell world.
Different than it is today, I suppose. Pictures loaded like this.
Oh, yeah.
Bomb's World was the most popular video sharing website, and thought was a word associated
I forgot about the existence of Thoughtbot. Man.
with a database website. And as for YouTube, it didn't exist.
Yep.
We now live in an age with data mining and streamers and YouTubers
Mm-hmm.
doing their blow up doll thing at some amazing, oh my god, piece of news that you just
Oh, hey, look, it's me. I'm part of the problem.
have to see because this is so insane. Oh my gosh. The purpose of alphas and betas have shifted away from testing to advertising vehicles.
Oh,
And
yeah.
no matter how complex or
Was this good? Hold on.
away from testing to advertising.
Was this thing really that good? This, to me, looks good. But I always wonder how it tastes.
Vehicles, and no matter how complex or intricate the systems are, no matter how many months or years they take to design, they are solved before they even release.
Yep.
Something that MMO developers have learned over the years is that the player must be protected from themselves. To create a treadmill that doles out rewards in a fun and healthy manner is a delicate procedure, as in a way, the player will fight against it. The treadmill must be as entertaining as the carrot is valuable, as a large discrepancy between the two will not stop.
Hold on, the fun of the treadmill must equal the value of the carrot. I don't know if that's expressly true. I don't think the value of the carrot has to equal the fun of the treadmill. I think the treadmill just has to be, like, fun enough to keep you going. The value of the carrot can be way higher, but if you are enjoying being on the treadmill, then that makes it good enough that you can get to the value of the carrot. I don't think they have to be equal at all.
Them in their pursuit and sabotaging their own satisfaction in the process. If it is more efficient to tumble down a flight of stairs to obtain the carrot, that's what they'll do.
Yep.
They'll cast aside their own enjoyment of what is supposed to be a fun journey in exchange for this hypnotizing carrot, and going through any means necessary, even spoiling the actual experience in the process by doing horrible, unfun shit.
Yeah, but you see, that again is down to, is the treadmill fun enough, right? This is why I say it doesn't have to equal the value of the carrot, but the treadmill just has to be fun enough that you want to do it the right way. Because if it starts to feel like a chore, you will do anything to not be on the treadmill. You just want the carrot.
And what's more, even if you, the individual, consciously avoid this, you're still affected by it because...
MMO Champion, I never used the site, but I've never heard complaints about it. Lost Ark database I've heard complaints about. I've heard complaints about New World database. I haven't actually heard as many, as big as it is, I've never heard any complaints about Wowhead. But this piece of shit here in the middle is so bad. I think the last time I accidentally went onto Fextra Life, it was for something I was looking up for Elden Ring. And when I read through whatever article it was, I think this was to do with the end game. Once you start getting to the parts where Melania like sacrifices herself, or you can get her to sacrifice herself, which I did. They just said a whole bunch of shit that was just blatantly wrong about the game. That didn't make sense. It really annoyed the shit out of me.
It's, of course, multiplayer. Knowledge is power. And not just in the world of video games. And luckily, engorging your brain with infinite knowledge is not only easy, but free with Brilliant, the premier way to learn math.
Hey,
data
there we go.
science,
Caught me with an
and
ad.
computer science. Brilliant is an online tool that makes learning fun, interesting, and exciting, with thousands of lessons to accommodate people of all backgrounds. From beginner
Disgusting.
to advanced,
Math.
your lessons are
Ugh.
customized to suit your specific needs and tailored to fit at your own pace. And the reason why it's my favorite learning tool on the Citadel is because it's gamified. Each lesson you complete gives you experience points, there's a leveling system, and even leagues that you can compete in if you're like me and you're competitive, like the time I got rank 14 in the recreation of a 15-year-old video game. You know,
Fuck yeah.
just in case you forgot. But it actually makes it really fun and RPG-like, and it makes you feel like you make progress every day. You can take it on the go, on your phone or tablet if you want, and lessons can be as short as a few minutes, so it's not something that you really have to set time aside for in case your dungeon queue pops or something. You can get started today. The first 30 days are free, so there's not this huge commitment, and the first 200 people to use my promo URL at brilliant.org/MadSeasonShow get 20% off the annual plan. But knowledge in all forms is power. The availability of information creates a compulsion to obtain it. A player who knows the optimal rotation of their class, the strategy to kill a boss, or the best way of farming currency, or the best strategy in PvP.
I love how he showed the best way to farm currency, and it's just 100% him fucking him just hitting the WoW token. I just realized how dark I look in this room, so I'm gonna wait. Oh, that's why. Hold on. There we go. That one's good.
Outperform a player
I
who
keep
doesn't.
missing it. Zero
They will
options.
get more opportunities. They will progress faster. And even putting that aside, the entire genre today is designed assuming that players are obtaining all of this information not from the game, but from third-party websites. I mean, it's to the point where you have World of Warcraft.
This I've got to say is one of the biggest copes for Guild Wars 2. Is people continually saying the words, "Bro, did you read the wiki?" I didn't log into the game to read the wiki. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to play the game. And I know that leaves me as an outlier, but if the information was that important and valuable for me to know, then they would have put it in the game, not in the wiki that I had to go find and then read. If I'm looking for specialized knowledge, then I'll go to the wiki. But I'm not going to go out of my way to go figure out something about a game, because that's just the perfect way to ruin any kind of first-time experience. Like the Guild Wars 2 video I could do as a first impression and enjoy it and have a really fun time with it because I looked up nothing. Like I said in that video, I made like a Reddit post, which was bad idea, not doing that again. But because of that, I got to go in with fresh eyes and actually enjoy the game, as opposed to having all the fun sucked out of it by like a million different wikis.
Warcraft GMs just telling you to look it up on Wowhead. The person who blinds themselves to information and optimization for the sake of desperately trying to recapture the magic
That's
that
me.
attracted them to begin with is ostracized by their guild as dead weight, lazy. They will always be behind, and they will always have to have a bit of slack picked up for them. So, whether it be forums, streams, YouTube, Discord, information is as...
I love how Kick has become an actual competitor. Enough of one that it's actually here. Is that not insane?
available as it's ever been, and combined with the fact that it's human nature to play games as efficiently as possible, what used to be an ocean of the undiscovered is now a puddle that's desperately lorded over by a player base with a full belly and a question in their head asking, where's the magic gone? And that's not even getting to the worst part, and that's the fact that it is not going to change. The MMO is...
Wait, hold on. This is actually more important.
Because it's a genre that encourages iteration over innovation. But before you paint a target on the back of modern MMO developers, the true source can be traced back to the year 2004 with the release of an MMO that you may be familiar with. The success of World of Warcraft both reinvigorated and doomed the MMORPG genre as it...
At the time, World of Warcraft slapped its fucking dick on the table and everyone bowed in reverence. Everyone fell over dead. It was the MMORPG. And you can tell it was the MMORPG because every MMO that launched after that was always like, we're the WoW killer, guys! We're gonna take 10 million subscribers from World of Warcraft! And to this day, WoW, as the decrepit old fuck that it is, still sits atop its throne, jerking off into the faces of its female employees. Unbidden by anything else except money.
Brought in an audience so large that it ended any questions regarding the magic formula. Up until this point, MMOs were in their growing stages. The genre was as popular as my Tinder profile.
Oh, yeah.
And while some saw moderate success, partly due to their expense and large time commitment, there had yet to be one to find a formula popular enough to break into the mainstream. But because of this, experimentation was rampant as developers were still trying to find what did and what didn't work.
It's actually something that made MMOs kind of amazing, was everything was like super experimental.
And as a result, uniqueness, ironically enough, was commonplace. However, when World of Warcraft hit store shelves in November of 2004,
God, it took everything
the
out
answer
this
from
game.
then on was theme park at the expense of sandbox, linearity at the expense of open-endedness, and handcrafted developer-made content over player-made content. The solution was discovered, and with it came the end of experimentation.
Yep.
And consequently, what followed was
This is actually one of the disgusting things that WoW did to the MMORPG genre, and something you have to try and figure out by yourself is just because one formula works doesn't mean other formulas won't work. But it's a lot easier and a lot safer to just copy paste and then hope that your formula works just as well as the old formula. But the problem with that is these are games, not generic drugs at a drugstore. So just because you make something really similar doesn't mean that everyone's going to hop over from the thing that we're playing and are invested in already into something that's shittier and more generic and doesn't have the history and the build-up and the story behind it the way something like World of Warcraft did. It's one of the biggest flops of every MMORPG after WoW came out. Everything's theme park. Nothing has like this story and world build-up, and sure, there are some that manage to stand on their own 2 feet, like Guild Wars 2, ESO, all of that, but none of them ever approached WoW. None of them ever came close to approaching WoW and taking over that title.
stagnation. Lord of the Rings Online, Warhammer, good luck with the second one by the way, Age of Conan, Aeon, Star Wars The Old Republic, Final Fantasy, whatever. You level to the max through a mostly linear campaign of quests, do dungeons, after dungeons you raid, PvP, maybe cyber, and then complain on the forums that there's nothing to do until the next patch comes out. And it's pretty easy to understand why. It's because experimentation most often results in failure. MMOs are extremely expensive to develop. The ongoing support that they need is astronomical. The worlds they demand are massive. The systems are complex, as their effect largely depends on the ever-changing community. These aren't single-player games where developers can create these contained experiences to be played in a very controlled and specific way. In a Mario game, Person A is going to relatively have a similar experience to Person B, and this can be said for most any single-player game, with the exception being the more open-ended ones, such as Elder Scrolls or Elden Ring, for example.
What in oblivion is that? Yeah!
But most people that finish a game do so in a pretty similar and controlled fashion. However, in the world of MMOs,
Doesn't work for me.
there are
Back to
hundreds
the original.
of different activities and different ways to play. Whereas one player primarily raids, another PvPs, another collects, another gathers resources, or maybe this other guy just quests, or cybers, or
Yep.
maybe a little bit of everything. And due to the fact that they are generally designed to be experienced with other players, an uncountable amount of variables are introduced that have drastic effects on player experience. A new player in Scenario A may get into the game and happen to run into someone whom they become friends with, join their guild, become friends with them, raid with them, and before you know it, it's 20 years later, and you're about 30 pounds fatter and 50% balder. Alternatively, in Scenario B, this very same player, maybe instead of meeting a friend, instead met an asshole. Maybe they only last a few weeks.
Let's
game
carry on
is
with the video.
Exactly the same, barring add-ons. When they're installed, everyone has the same files and the same interface and the same problems and the same tools with which to solve them. Yet, the experience is so drastically different and systems that are designed to be played one way may be played in a completely different way, and as a result, designing them becomes extremely fucking complicated.
Yep.
So, in an effort of avoiding vagity, let's go over an example from...
Yeah, this is complexity over time, but a game that's ideal, that's perfect, that works well, is a game that gets complex way later in the game. A game should be very, very, very simple to learn, right? There's a reason why there are so many people who play League of Legends. It's because the game is super simple to learn. It's 4 buttons, and you click around them with your mouse. That's all it is. But if you get into the weeds of it, it gets super fucking complicated. But when you're starting off learning it, it's really, really simple, and that's how they get you.
everyone's favorite MMO. It's the 3rd expansion, you know, the shitty one, the Cataclysm. There was
I see, Jarek Dan, that you've discovered my very recent update to the points system. You bastard, you put me on the fucking couch of shame. Here's an example on BMI from Vox. Yeah, I'll take a look at that just now.
There was a PvP island called Tolbarad, and it was an open world PvP zone, much like Wintergrasp or later Trash Can, and it was designed to be a form of battleground back when the
Wintergrasp was a good idea. Ashran or Trashran or Trash Can, as it was called, not so much, because they just tried to iterate on an old formula without any of the iteration. That's why everyone hated it.
game actually had 2 factions. The goal was to capture a fort, and the side that won had to defend against the other side that previously lost.
And Horde almost always had control of everything, because the server populations were very heavily unbalanced. Unless you were on very particular alliance servers. And that's also unavoidable, because players, again, will go and find the server and play on the faction that is most dominant.
So, that's how it was intended to be played. But, as it turned out, because attacking was way harder, it was made to be more rewarding. Makes sense, right? Nothing could possibly go wrong with this. But, uh-oh. Carrot shiny. So, what happened instead is that both factions came to a mutual understanding.
Yep, there it is. The players outwitting the system. The fucking trading wins in Tolbarad or whatever the fuck else, so that everyone gets a turn, because you know what? Attacking was better than defending. So you'd have a bunch of people in Discord being like, yo, we're gonna take it at this time, and when we've got it, then you attack, and we can both benefit. And fuck the system. I remember
Because winning through attacking was so much more lucrative, it was much more efficient for both sides to trade wins by losing intentionally when defending and avoiding a long, drawn-out battle that results in fewer rewards for everyone. Because who in their right mind plays video games just to play them, right? What are you, a casual loser? So, because of this broken system, it was very difficult to get in when your faction was attacking, because while no one is going to queue for a fruitless guaranteed loss while defending, everyone is going to queue for the fruitful guaranteed win while attacking. So because of this, the number of attackers vastly outnumbered defenders, so much so that there wasn't even enough.
You know what? I gotta say, no matter how many times this happened, there were always like 5 or 6 people who would, regardless of what was happening, join the defender side of this. I have no idea why. I don't know what they think they were accomplishing. I hope it was at least fun for them. But a lot of the time, exactly what he's describing here is exactly what happened. And I know this because I watched this happen on a fucking RP server. On an RP server called Moonglade, this shit was happening. Not just on like all the competitive PvP servers.
Enough room for them, but you could cheese it if you were technically in the zone when your side won, and that's what this madness is about before you. This was the
Yep.
bridge dance that people would perform when they're trying to be in the zone when their side won, while trying to avoid being teleported out due to the battle being full. And not to stick on WoW too much, pretty much this exact same scenario would also be repeated in Ilum in Star Wars The Old Republic on it.
That's interesting. I didn't know this one. I haven't played SWTOR to this level. I've only really played the beginning levels of SWTOR and really enjoyed it. Wait, maybe some of them are like midpoint levels, like level 30, level 40.
Its release. So not only does this cost a lot of time, it also costs a lot of money, so resources are more often dedicated towards the systems that are proven to work, as opposed to the systems that might work if the players
This is Benji's whole channel. You see, this is literally Benji's whole channel. Is with Albion videos, right? Where you rely on the systems that are proven to work versus the systems that have a chance of working. It's why going into Albion Online and farming in a static dungeon in a blue zone is far more consistent than if you were to go into a red zone and get your ass cheeks clapped for the next 4 hours trying to farm one single mob.
fucking behave, which is why you get another copy-paste of the Timeless Isle with every fucking expansion. And that is why most every MMO has a simple formula of level to the max, dungeon, raid,
Yep.
PvP, and then pumping microtransactions
Theme park plus pay to win.
through every possible orifice. Straying away from this proven financially winning formula is an enormous risk, and you need to look no further than New World as one of the most recent victims.
There it is. There's the New World reference. So they didn't stray away from that formula. They stuck to the formula, but they executed it poorly. So I'm not quite sure what he means by New World strayed away from the formula. I think New World personally would have been better off as a full loot open world PvP game as it was originally intended to be before that fucking guy, that book salesman guy, I never remember his name, took the management position and forced them into the position where they're trying to tell people you have to make this a theme park. I think that was the big floundering decision that fucked up New World.
Of deviating from it. And so, after like 30 minutes of monotone narration, we finally arrive to the truth that's about as depressing as my voice. If experimentation is absent, so too is innovation, and without innovation, there is no unknown, and without the unknown, there is no magic.
He's 100%
And what
right.
you're left with is a generation that's very intimately familiar with the genre that is not going to change as safe iteration triumphs over the volatile innovation, and as a result, the player base collectively are more aware of this carrot and treadmill system more so than ever before.
Absolutely.
Regardless of all of that, always
Absolutely. And what's worse than that is other genres have the opportunity to make this problem go away because they'll leave the innovation to the indie devs. I mean, look at BattleBit and how it's beating the fucking brakes off of COD, and that was programmed by 3 guys. Look at what was the recent one that followed Vampire Survivors? Halls of Torment. Go look at any indie game is where the innovation happens, but you can't really do that in MMOs because no one is an indie dev because you need a mountain of fucking money, and the only people with mountains of money to continuously burn on server costs and live service, well, that's everyone who's massive AAA, owned by Tencent, owned by Bobby Kotick's golden toenails and his yacht. And so it's going to be a very long time, or I guess we'll see when Ashes of Creation releases, but it'll if that one flounders, then it's going to be a very long time before we see anything different in the genre.
remember that the most important thing is to like this video.
Oh yeah,
and to subscribe
100%.
to my Patreon, because I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
That was good. That was actually a good video. Really solid. Took me fucking forever to get through it. But yeah, I like that.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope
Solid
you
video.
enjoyed today's
Is the background music Darkest Dungeon? Yes. The first one.